Hello, everybody, and welcome to USA Karate's Meet Our Olympic Hopefuls series, where in this last episode, we are finally sitting down with Sakura Kokumai. Based on Sakura's Olympic ranking, we expect her to be named to the Olympic team when the first phase of qualified athletes are named by the WKF in May 2021. Sakura will be representing Team USA in the female kata division. Kata is a solo discipline in which athletes perform a set, choreographed series of movements. Competitors are judged based on elements including strength, speed, balance, and technical aspects such as stances, techniques, and breathing. In terms of accomplishments, Sakura has many. She's been a member of USA Karate's national team since 2007 and has had an incredibly distinguished career to date. To hit some highlights, Sakura took home gold at the Pan American Games in 2019. She's a 6-time Senior Pan American champion, 7-time USA National champion, 2-time K1 Premier League silver medalist, 2-time K1 Premier League bronze medalist, and placed third at the World Championships in 2012, paving her way as a serious competitor on both the international and domestic stages. Today, we are sitting down to talk with Sakura about her karate career and her dreams for the Tokyo Olympic Games. Welcome, Sakura. Thank you so much for being here today.
For having me.
Jumping right in, I think a great place to start is how you got involved with karate.
I started karate at the age of 7. I was in Hawaii, and my mom kind of enrolled me into a YMCA class after school. Karate was one of the program that was in it, so I really kind of had no other choice but to join the class and take karate. And from there, I think, my mom saw me enjoy me taking the class, and she saw me, I don't know, just having fun. So from YMCA, I transferred over to a karate dojo. And then from there, it was kind of like nonstop. So that's how we started.
As we mentioned earlier, you're an incredibly established and decorated kata athlete. What drew you to kata versus kumite?
I loved practicing both. I grew up in a karate dojo where they had us do kata and kumite because both complement each other, and that's what makes karate. I honestly, if I could have, I think I wanted to do kumite. I my like sensei and my mom kind of had to force me to choose one. I think at the age of like 16, 17. And honestly, I love both, but I did really well in tournaments in kata, and with my, I guess, like body structure and how I really just enjoyed performing. I loved being able to express myself through kata. So as I gotten older, I found the love for kata. Yeah, I still like to do both, but that's how I ended up choosing it.
Have you always dreamed of competing specifically at an international elite level, or was this something that came along as you progressed with the sport?
It definitely something that came along. I did compete in smaller tournaments, like local tournaments, as a young kid. I competed at nationals for the first time at the age of 14, and I didn't even know that it was qualifiers for junior team. So I kind of just happened to naturally start, get into that competition world. And I did grow up watching a lot of athletes representing US, and they're world champions too that came from the dojo. So I did grow up seeing them. Me getting introduced to it, it just came naturally.
Moving along, we wanted to hear from you about COVID-19 and how it's impacted your training. So, talk to us about this. How are you affected, and what changes did you have to make in order to be successful?
Oh man. Yeah, it was definitely tough. When it was March, I believe I was still in Austria. I was kind of getting ready to fly to Morocco directly from there, but I had to get a flight back to LA because of the pandemic. In terms of training, it was tough because I really couldn't go anywhere. I had to it took me a couple months to understand what was happening in the world. And with the Olympics postponing, it really it really took time to adjust. But in terms of training, I'm really grateful that I have friends around me who just mentally supported me along the way. I have trained in the garage for the longest time, and especially kata, you don't need a training partner. So I just needed to be creative and how I could train and what I could do during those time. I did a lot of online classes just to keep myself busy. A lot of the other kids around the country were stuck at home too. So it really gave me a motivation to, just get out of bed and do something. And it was always nice to see kids even through like screen. I've joined like dojo classes through Zoom, FaceTime. There would be like one of my friends would have me over every Saturday and they would call it Sakura Saturdays. And every week on Saturday, we'll kind of, meet up together so we can train, either chat, like the kids will tell me jokes. I've been training with my coach through FaceTime like throughout the year of 2020. I've been training with my friends like through FaceTime throughout the year. So definitely a change of environment, but it's definitely given just just different ways to approach things, different perspective. And I always have to remind myself that I'm in a privileged position to just practice karate and worry about karate every day. Thank goodness everybody is healthy and around me, people who are around me. And, just I began to take things day by day and just appreciate little things. So.
Do you think you've mastered being able to train remotely?
Yeah, you had to. I had to. You can't really keep saying this is the reason why, this is the reason why. The tournaments are going to happen. So I had to really adapt to the situation and environment. I would love to train with my friends in person rather than, working out with somebody through screen. But I did have opportunity to just train with people from here and there, on and off. So you just have to get used to it and you just have to adapt and train because yeah, you just have to.
Despite our event season getting cut short in 2020, you were still able to bring home two silver medals at K1 Premier League events, first in Dubai and then again in Salzburg. How has this motivated you for this year's upcoming event season?
Yeah, those were the last sprint in the Olympic qualifier. I believe it was, we still had Morocco, but Dubai, Austria, Paris, Dubai, Austria, Morocco. Those were the last sprint for the Olympic qualifiers, and I was kind of in the zone where I knew that I had to take every match seriously. I knew where I stood with the Olympic ranking. I knew where everybody else was in my division. So I just had to make sure that I do the best at these events. And as I progressed like through those events, I was excited because I knew where with the points and with the ranking, but I just kind of kept it to myself until it was kind of official with the points. But it was a really, really good feeling. But I was so into it. I think I wasn't thinking much because we had tournaments back to back for the past 2 years, and that was the last sprint. So.
How have you prepared for this year's event season? Do you feel ready to jump back into the swing of things?
Oh yeah, definitely. We haven't competed since last year March, and it's almost been a year. So I'm really excited to get back into the ring. I've been training hard in 2020, and also currently right now too. So I will be ready when the time comes, and I just want to make sure that when I get into the ring, I'm the best version of myself.
Speaking of getting back into competition, what have you missed most about them and are excited to get back to?
I honestly missing karate friends. I've been used to traveling every other week to see all my friends around the world, and that environment is what gets me motivated to train and compete. So I just miss like that. I don't know, that environment.
Next, we wanted to talk to you about the Tokyo Olympics, which are coming up here in a few short months. So, Let's flash back to 2016 when it was first announced that karate would be introduced as an Olympic sport with Tokyo. What were your initial thoughts? How did your training, your outlook, and your goals change with this news?
When it was announced, I was in Japan. I was working on my master degree. I believe it was my final year. I was excited, but at that moment, I don't think I believed in it too. I had to ask around. I was like, "Oh, it's kata in it. Are you sure it's in?" It took a while for me to process what happened, but the goals immediately changed to qualifying at the Olympics and getting a medal. There was no hesitation there. In terms of training, it's always been the same. The planning definitely changed because uh, it required more traveling and training, which needs adjustments to peak at the right time. But yeah, in terms of training, it hasn't really changed much because I've always been training hard to for any other competition. So.
Looking ahead to this year's event season and the Tokyo Olympic Games, what goals have you set for yourself and how will you be measuring success?
Well, now that we're, in 2021, my goal is to bring back a medal at the Olympics. I've been training these since March, since I know that I made it. It wasn't, my goal was to just be the best me. And there's because it's held in Japan too, the venue that we're going to compete in is the same exact venue that I competed years ago as a college student. And even before, there's just so many memories back in that venue. And the fact that it's in Japan, I'm representing our country, also our sport, is just a full circle to me. So I want to make sure that I there so that everybody knows me for who I am. And I hope that my kata shows that when I step onto that stage in Tokyo. So
As of right now, karate will no longer be an Olympic sport following the Games this year. What impact has this had on you?
my personal, I guess, like dreams in terms of Olympics hasn't really changed. If anything, it's more for the younger generations, for the 2024, 2028 Olympics. I feel like I got really lucky in that sense because the timing and all kind of came at the right time. I know that karate has a lot to offer. I hope that we represent our sport well in Tokyo 2020 so that the world sees how amazing our sport really is. And I hope that this will bring opportunities for us to get back into the games in the future, because for the younger generations, being in the Olympics is a dream as an athlete. You can't top that. So I feel like our job as an athlete, competing at Tokyo, is to just represent our sport well so that the world really can see what we do.
And speaking of representing the sport, what do you hope people who tune into karate at the Olympics, who maybe aren't as familiar with karate as a sport, take away from it?
I feel like many people have different ideas about karate and they might think it's really violent, when it's really not. It really requires a lot of like physical ability, like especially kata too. You need balance, you need speed, you need power. There's so much like details that are required in each technique, and I just really hope that people sees us as a sport. We're not kind of doing this for fun. We do train every day. We put the grind in, we yeah. So I really just want everybody to see what we do at the Olympics.
Looking beyond the Olympic Games, what are your career goals moving forward? What happens after Tokyo?
Good question. Oh gosh. I haven't thought too far, but I really just want to, after Tokyo, damn. It's tough because my goal has been set for Tokyo Olympics, but I would really love to keep teaching. I love working with kids. So I hope that my journey to Tokyo Olympics will kind of inspire and motivate the younger generations to keep training and keep competing. And in any way after Tokyo Olympics, if I have an opportunity to teach, or do anything with the community, I would love to give back. I do hope that I will keep competing, but I also want to kind of play a role where I kind of give back to the community after Tokyo Olympics.
Next, we're hoping to do a little bit of reflection before we close out. So, can you name something that you've learned through karate and all your years of training that you take with you off of the mat?
Patience, resilience, respect, those kind of like the top things that I learned from karate, and it's definitely something that I take outside of the sport too. So everything that's related to karate is really connected to life outside of it.
And what would your advice be to younger karate athletes who are maybe just getting started with the sport?
Dream big, love what you do, and just keep going. I think as long as you have passion for the sport, it will give you the motivation to keep pushing no matter what the obstacles are. So just keep working hard and enjoy it. Have fun.
And before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with everyone?
No, nothing too specific, but I just wanted to thank you guys for the support that you guys been giving me for years. This Olympic thing has been a crazy journey, and I wouldn't be here without any of you guys' support. I know this postponement kind of changed everything, especially life outside of karate because it's bigger than that. But throughout these struggles, I'm really thankful for everybody who has supported me along the way. I hope that I can represent our sport and our country well this year in Tokyo Olympics, and yeah, just ready to bring back that medal. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to everyone for tuning into our Meet Our Olympic Hopefuls series. We have had such a great time. And thank you so much to Sakura for joining us today. We are so excited to see everything that you accomplish this year.
thank you.